time. Obviously, some trades will trickle in through that point. But deadline day is here and it's already been active. And if you're a Toronto Blue Jays fan, there's a ton to talk about. There's other things going on. Obviously, we spoke about the Taylor Skubal trade yesterday. We talked about some other things. If you're following me on social media, you've seen breakdowns that I've given of certain trades that have already happened within the trade deadline. There's more stuff happening right now. It looks like Adley Rutschman's getting dealt. Like there's a lot of stuff going on. So today we are going to talk exclusively about MLB trade deadline day, and really dig our teeth into what's going on, the prospects that are involved, the players that are involved, and kind of what can go forward with these teams in general, and what else is on the agenda for these teams. I see some people already pumped up about Jose Soriano. And I think that's probably the best place to start. So yesterday, when the Toronto Blue Jays acquired Jameson Taillon, I said it probably signifies that the Jays are going to sell off pitchers, right? We already know that this team is always looking for opportunities to gain controllable assets going into the future. So that makes sense. I do not think the Jays are done dealing pitching. I think that Bieber, Scherzer, maybe both could be dealt before the deadline. That wouldn't shock me at all. They're obviously looking for control rather than the UFAs, right? So going into that, like Jose Soriano is such an interesting piece because the stuff is elite. Like I said in the video that I made about this trade, you have to look at this deal in a very similar light to how you looked at the Dylan Cease signing, right? This is a guy with premier stuff that occasionally loses at the zone. The key is, can you get him back in the zone? Because if the walk rates decline, he's damn near unhittable. Like his stuff is so elite. He just gets himself into trouble because he nibbles a bit, right? He's at his zone too much. Movement profiles on his pitches are fantastic. The fastball is at 97. The knuckle curve is silly good, like just one of the better breaking balls in all of baseball. Jose Soriano is not a free agent until 2029, which is a critical piece of this. Some people, like I'm seeing in the Instagram chat right now, some people are upset about the trading of Arjun Nimmala. I'm not the biggest Nimmala guy. I've had a lot of concerns about Arjun Nimmala as a prospect in general. Tools wise, and this, bear in mind, I'm not talking about the player now. I'm talking about the player when he was like the peak level of his prospect status. The comparison for me with Arjun Nimmala as a hitter has always been Aroldis Martinez, right? It's these big, flashy tools. And when it looks good, and when the swing profile is good, and when he's on a heater, it looks awesome. But man, he really struggles against spin. He's hitting under 150 right now against spin this season. You know, he hits fastballs real hard. You know, I think he's going to stick at shortstop long term. I think he's going to be above average shortstop. It's just as the bat play, right? As he gets exposed to levels at the minor leagues levels, longer and longer, teams know how to attack him. He's shown the ability to make some adjustments, but the spin is a real issue. And as you get higher and higher and against a higher level of competition, those types of flaws in your swing profile get kind of really accentuated. I think Arjun Nimmala is a really good prospect. I had him in the top 70 in Major League Baseball this year. But this is a prospect that amongst our top 5, top 6 guys, this was the one that I kind of viewed as the most expendable of the group. That is, again, not to say that I don't think this is a good player. I think the Angels got a good return for this deal. Micheletti's fun. I think he's more of an org guy at the end of the day. Maybe the power really pops and he turns into a big leaguer. But he really needs that power to pop because there's no really secondary carrying tool. Rivero is just a lottery ticket, right? I think he profiles more as a reliever long term. The arm's really good, but that's a long ways away. But like Jose Soriano is very, very, very good. And it's an exciting trade to see kind of these things happen, right? The Jays just got a real dude. I'm seeing somebody saying that Taylor Ward just got traded. Let me try to dig that up real quick here, because I haven't seen that come through yet. Obviously, I've been on a stream, though, so it's a little bit harder. Seattle Mariners requiring Taylor Ward. Okay, so the Mariners are grabbing Taylor Ward. I wonder what the return on that's going to be. That'll be interesting to see. Seattle has some interesting guys. Like I wonder if they're going to give up a little bit of an overpay here, frankly. What are your expectations for JoJo now? He's the top shortstop prospect for us. So here's the thing. I don't think that JoJo Parker is a shortstop long term. I think that JoJo Parker most likely falls into the realm of a third baseman long term. He's a big bodied kid. He's big physical. I think there's a lot more size to go on that frame. Lateral mobility is fine right now. It's not the best. I think he can play shortstop at the big league level if he gets there. I just don't think it's like optimized for him. I think he'd be a lower end defensive shortstop. I think where he really sees his value go is as a third baseman. So I think long term he more profiles as a third baseman. But there are a lot of interesting options in the Jays organization. They're very, very high on Ryan Cooney, who they just drafted. Obviously, they just got somebody who can potentially play shortstop as well. So there's a lot of different things you can kind of do here. Oh, somebody's saying Joe Adell just went to the Guardians too. Let's see. Let's see if we can find out details on these trades, because right now it's nothing is really coming through details wise. Yeah, and Bateman assigned to Buffalo, South Zine to Vancouver, which was expected. If Varsho's moved, I imagine Bateman comes up. As of right now, though, Varsho has not been moved, so we'll see if that ends up happening or not. But that is where the possibilities really, really start to get interesting. Let's see if we can get detail. Apologize for the coughing, guys. Any new trades other than Soriano? Nothing for the Jays yet. Yeah, nothing for the Jays yet. Yeah, I would say that the Jays are going to make a few more trades. I said going into yesterday that I thought 4 trades was the number that they would make, and it would be 5 roster players moved. That was my prediction. So we'll see. There's still no details on what they are getting for Taylor Ward. When the details do come through, we'll break down kind of what's going on prospects wise coming back. And then somebody said Joe Adell just got moved as well. Yeah, Guardians get Joe Adell. Okay, so Jacob Cozart is one of the guys going. So that's moderately interesting. I would assume there's more going than Cozart, because like Cozart's fine. Like he is like a reasonably good defensive catcher with like some power upside. If that's the kind of the central piece of the Joe Adell deal, that is uninspiring. I would have to imagine that there is more going. Ward went to the Mariners. Yeah, I'd have to imagine that there's more going back as well. Oh, thanks, Carts. I appreciate that, man. Yeah, so I'm gonna be staying live until about 2:30, and then I'm gonna be taking a little break until 3:20, 3:30, and then I'll go back on live for another 3 hours or whatever after that and break down everything that's happened. Because at some point, I gotta eat and take a break. I'm an old dude, you know what I mean? That's just how it works. So we'll wait for more details to come through on this. But when we're talking about, again, like when we're talking about the specifics of the trades that have kind of went down today, um, like I said, the Soriano piece is a big ad. That's a big ad. That he slots in right now as our number 2 starter. Like long term, having Cease, Soriano, Savage, Ponce, like that's the workings of a really good rotation. If Ricky Tiedemann does do what I think Ricky Tiedemann can do, like all of a sudden you're talking about one of the best swing and miss starting rotations in all of baseball, and that's without even going into the other guys that could be there eventually as well. It's an exciting deal to see the Toronto Blue Jays make. So yeah, and there's a possibility that Bieber stays and that Varsho stays. Like it's entirely possible. It depends on what's being offered, right? Yeah, Adley Rutschman to Boston. That's been kind of talked about all morning at this point. But it'll be interesting to see what the return is on that. I feel like the return for Adley is going to be uninspiring. According to Mark Feinsand, the Angels are only getting Jacob Cozart for Joe Adell, which is odd, right? Like they have Logan O'Hoppe, whose profile similarly to Jacob Cozart. So yeah, if that's literally all the trade is, like I would say that that's a kind of a decent size L for the Angels and a pretty big win for the Cleveland Guardians. And that's not even me being like huge on Joe Adell. Like I think there's major flaws in what Joe Adell does. I just would have assumed that you would have gotten a little bit more, Varsho and Hoffman package to the Phillies. That's a possibility. Like I think the thing that's going to shock Blue Jays fans is, oh yeah, Hoppy's on the Rangers now. That's my bad. I forgot he got dealt. Um, but like right now, like catching wise for the Angels, like there's not much there. Like even in their system, like organizationally, like let's look up the Angels minor league system here. Like Definitely doesn't really profile as a catcher. Like Juan Flores, I guess is catcher. I think they're, I guess maybe they see something with Cozart that I don't see, but like it's not. Like I said, I'm not overly inspired by what that deal is. I don't think that that's a great deal. Uh, what are your thoughts on Juan Sanchez? So Dave Lawrence. I really like Juan Sanchez. I'm probably higher on Juan Sanchez than a lot of people are. Elite power tool, hits the ball hard all over the place. There's some swing and miss, and like the defense is a mess right now. I think at the end of the day, he ends up being a right fielder, not a middle infielder or a third baseman. I think he'd need to take like a pretty massive jump defensively to be able to hold down an infield spot. But I think with his athleticism, with his arm strength and the power profile and everything else, I think he ends up being a corner outfielder at the end of the day. There are some comparable outcomes to a guy like Lourdes Gurriel, right? Longer swing profile, a little bit of a flatter profile sometimes, big exit velos that come off his bat when he was a younger guy. I think there's a lot more power in that profile than there was with a guy like Lourdes, but just to give you a Blue Jays reference that kind of makes sense to it. Teoscar, there's some similarities with Teoscar Hernandez as well. I think there's a ton of power in the bat, though. I really like Juan Sanchez. I have Juan Sanchez ranked ahead of Arjun Namala in prospect rankings like earlier this year. So I really like Juan Sanchez. I think Juan Sanchez is a real dude. I think there's, again, things that he has to clean up. There's things that he needs to improve on. But what is this? Yeah, sorry. Johnny Giunta from Gate 14 just commented something on one of my posts that was hilarious. But yeah, so and it's funny, I was actually gonna segue into this. Wyatt Langford, they're listening on Wyatt Langford right now. If the Toronto Blue Jays are looking for a controllable bat, that name makes a ton of sense. That's a name that makes a ton of sense. I haven't heard a lot of names that make a ton of sense. That is one, though, where I'm like, ooh, that's a profile that could work. That's a type of athlete that could fit, Yeah, and the deal seems like it's finalized. Joe Adell for Jacob Cozart. Yeah, like I thought Adell's value would be slightly higher than that just because the power profile reads nicely. I'm trying to see what the return for Taylor Ward is. It looks like Cano is also going to the Mariners. That's not confirmed yet, but there's a possibility that Cano is also going, which actually I wonder what that return is going to be then. Let me just see if I can find this. If anybody sees what that trade final or has been finalized as, you let me know because I'm very, very intrigued. Oh no, see now I'm seeing that it's just Taylor Ward. There's a lot of mishmash reporting right now going on. So we'll see kind of what's happening there. Lockout, it's tough to know. Like I think there will be. I think Jeff Passan said he'd put it at 35% odds that there was going to be a work stoppage next year. So we'll see if that's what it ends up being or not. But like I think there's a reasonably good possibility that if they're pushing for a salary cap, that there could be a stoppage that takes up part of the season. I'm not a big Brenton Doyle guy. Like I'm not. I never have been. And Neto could make sense. I'm not as high on Zach Neto as other people are too. Like I get it. Like he hits a reasonable amount of home runs, which is cool and whatnot. But the numbers have gotten progressively worse every season. Right? There's holes in that swing. Yeah, I just saw somebody else said that Yennier Cano was going to go in that deal too, though. Um, so Hoppy, Creeling, and more. You know, at the end of the day, it's not a bad return. You know, let's see. Like they really didn't get anything that was like overwhelmingly overwhelmingly good. You know what I mean? Like that's a quantity over quality deal for sure. Um I'm definitely not like the biggest fan of that return. Like they really didn't get one piece that's like well viewed, I guess would be the best way of putting it without being insulting, because obviously all of these guys can improve. Oh, we got a question here about Tucker Toman. Are you buying into the Tucker Toman improvements this year? I am, just because he dropped the switch hitting. Right, the issue was always, man, from the right side of the plate. It was a real problem. Um, I think that his zone awareness was always good. I think that his contact rates are going up this year. He's hitting the ball a little bit harder. Obviously, he's getting bigger and stronger. But just like I said, going to just being a single side hitter, I think is critical for him. So I think that some of it was a little bit BABIP aided early in the year, especially, but we've seen his approach continually rebound and keep him afloat even during the hard times this year. So I like Tucker Toman. I think Tucker Toman's going to be like, I don't know if he ends up getting all the way to the big leagues or not. He was a prospect I did like, though, when he was coming up. So I can see, I can see it working out well, which is the hopes. He's still very, very young. Sid Seixeiro called him all a blue chip and said the Angels fleeced. Sid Seixeiro might be the dumbest person in the city of Toronto, and that's an impressive stance to hold. His take on the Gossman deal yesterday was buffoonery. His take on this deal, if that's his stance, is I haven't watched anybody play and I'm just trying to get clicks because my relevancy as a sports media person has gone in the toilet. So now it's just desperation for clicks. So whatever is the viewpoint of something, he's going to take the opposite and play devil's advocate on it and be, reactionary and grandiose, do his little Skip Bayless impression, because that's his only chance of getting views at this point, because the credibility is gone. And we all know, like, Tim McAuliffe carried him for a decade. It's not shocking that this is what it's come to now. Is that bold and direct enough? I think that he is foolish, and maybe go back to breakfast television, because sports aren't for him. That's what I would say to Mr. Seixeiro. We'll see if the Adley Rutschman deal ends up getting approved or not, because right now there's no new reporting on it. I'm really just waiting to see what ends up happening with the other UFAs for the Toronto Blue Jays. Yeah, no, Sid Seixeiro is brutal. I used to watch Tim and Sid all the time when I was younger. And like I said, he's an entertainer. He's not actually a sports guy at the end of the day. Like, his takes, although funny occasionally, that's the extent of his viewpoint is I'm going to be amusing and controversial. And I don't see any basis for it, right? He's like a low rent Stephen A. Smith. Yeah, no, nobody can stand him. And that's why his opportunities have gone in the toilet. Like that's the reality. That guy had such a big platform for a reason, and those opportunities have went in the toilet for him. And it's because he is largely, like I said, this is what he is. He's a hitman. That's it, right? Say some negative shit, say some wild shit. Hopefully you get some clicks, pass it off as some sort of like internalized knowledge, and then go on from there. But like the grift is up for him. There's guys like this in every sports organization, unfortunately. And I just don't have any time for it. Sam Shaw joined the Jays next year. Sam Shaw is still a couple years away. He would have to take like a massive developmental leap to be able to get up to the big league level next year. Like there's still a lot of holes in that game. He's had injury problems. He's still very young as well, but I think Sam Shaw down the road could, but he would have to take like a massive, massive leap to be able to see Major League Baseball next year. You know, yeah, and that's what it is. That's his hope to remain relevant. It's just say edgy shit and be negative and be grandiose. It is what it is. I wouldn't go all in for Wyatt Langford. I would offer value for Wyatt Langford though. Like if they wanted to get like a young controllable pitcher, I don't know if they're wanting on roster players or if they're wanting off roster players right now. So depending on what they were looking to do, that would obviously change that discussion. But if they came and were like, "Hey, we'll do the deal," if if the Toronto Blue Jay, if they came and they said they want prospects, we'll do the deal if you give us Gage Stanifer and I'm trying to think of something that would be reasonable in that deal. Charles McAdoo. I would do that deal for Gage Stanifer and Charles McAdoo, right? If they want you to trade Johnny King for it, I wouldn't do it, right? So it's just about what they're asking for in return. But if they wanted a deal like that, where it was like a top 10 prospect and a top 20 prospect, then yeah, I still think that, like I said, I went into the day saying that I thought they'd make 4 trades. I thought they'd remove 5 players from the roster. So we'll see. I love Victor Arias. Yeah, Namal is not a blue chip prospect for me. For some people, he is, because some people really love the power tool, right? Some people, we've seen it with the Gossman trade. If you don't have power, some people are just not going to view you as viable. So some people are going to really, really overrate, the highlight reel power. My thing is, I'd rather have approach. I'd rather have like power is great, but if it's a lot of swing and miss and you can't hit spin and there's zone awareness issues, like that power needs to be massive to be able to show through, right? So I'm lower on Namal than some people, but I think that Namal is still a very, very good prospect, like a very good prospect, but he was the one inside the top 5 of the Jays prospects that I was definitely like, yeah, I would move that. Right? Like if it came down to the idea of moving off of, Parker, Namala, Perry, King, Sanchez, Namala is the guy I'm moving, right? Like Namala is the guy I'm moving. Even if it came down to moving Namala before moving like Blaine Bullard, I would move Namala before Blaine Bullard. And that's not to say I think Blaine Bullard's as good as Namala. I just love the ceiling with Bullard. So like I said, I'm lower on Namala than a lot of people were. So that was not a trade that bothered me. Abrams. So if we're framing an Abrams deal from the perspective of the Toronto Blue Jays, I'm guessing that deal would have, with what they like, I'm guessing Johnny King would be a part of that deal. I'm guessing, like, if it was King, Stanifer, Bullard, but I think honestly, like with where the market is, it might take something like that for an offense player. At worst, like the best case scenario for the Jays, you're able to do, like let's say it was Nolan Perry, somebody controllable, a Shrek or a Penongo, and Danny Thompson, maybe. Like I would say that's kind of the best case scenario, because like Abrams' value is very, very high right now. It's very, very high. And I have questions about CJ Abrams. Like this is not somebody that like I am fully believing is a true star for sure, no question. Like I do have questions about CJ Abrams. Well, I'm not saying it's an anomaly year. Jimenez, Hoffman, Perry, Sanchez, and then another mid-level prospect. They wouldn't do that. They'd have to take on way too much money. Like if they're moving off Abrams because they don't want to end up having to pay him, they wouldn't take on all that change. Like the Jimenez contract is big, right? Hoffman still owed money, so I just don't see that as being a as being a deal that would be viable. Like I think if they did it, they would want high level prospects with low cost in return. Like I think that's the goal for them. Abrams this year he's got 28 bombs, 19 stolen bases, 9% walk rate, which is way above his career norms, which is awesome to see. K rates went up slightly, but that's to be expected when you're swinging for more power. You haven't seen massive increases in things like BABIP. Like BABIP has went up. Like his career high previous was 296. It's 319 or 313 this year, 148 WRC plus. Obviously still like not to be rude to him, but like still, defensively, he's a guy looking for a home. I think that's the nice way of putting it. He is, arguably the worst shortstop in baseball, right? Defensively. So, he needs a position change. If you're acquiring him to be a center fielder. I don't think you're acquiring him to be a shortstop at the end of the day. I wouldn't be, at least, like this was always my knock on Bo Bichette was I think it's so hard to really win when your premier positions can't defend. So when you have a catcher, a shortstop, and a center fielder who can't defend, I think that you're in a really, really tough spot. I don't know, man. I don't think the Adley Rutschman return is going to be massive. I think it's going to be like a good return. I don't think it's going to be massive. He has so many health issues, and the performance has been really, really up and down over the past couple of years. So I'm torn, right? And Keegan, like if you can get off the Jimenez deal, you obviously look to do it. But I do feel that the fan base is a little too rough on Andres Jimenez. At the end of the day, like I do really think that despite some people's viewpoints of Jimenez, I think Jimenez is a good player. Obviously with where the contract's going, like it's going to be tough for him to produce value on that contract. But like defensively, he's one of the premier shortstops in baseball. Defensively, he's a good base runner. I get the offensive profile is shit. Like I get it. Like I'm not here to dispute it. He is an elite level defender though. Like, and I am a person that, like I said, at that inside diamond between catcher, short, second, and center. I do think it's really critical to have high level defenders at those spots. Like, I just think that it makes everything a lot easier, especially when you consider like bringing in a pitcher like Jose Soriano, having a shortstop like Andres Jimenez in that scenario is pretty damn critical, and even with all the flaws in his game, like he's still a 1.5 WAR player this year. He was a 1 WAR player last year, obviously 2.8, 3.8, 6.1 before then, but he's still on pace to be over a 2-win player this year, even with his offensive production where it is. So I think that sometimes the amount of shit that Jimenez, Kirk, Varsho, Hoffman in particular get, I think is bordering on ludicrous a lot of the time. So that's where I'm at. I think that there are certain people that Jays fans need to hate and feel like they just want to hate. And if they were to rescue a busload of children, they'd still find a way to make the person sound like an asshole for doing it. So yeah, it's not the player, it's the contract. I get that. The contract is big. The contract is also not like, I tell you, I'd rather have Andres Jimenez at 23 million than Bo Bichette at 43 million. At the end of the day, so everybody clamoring about how dog shit Andres Jimenez is a hitter this year. That's fine and dandy. Andres Jimenez is right now. If you look at the guy that he essentially replaced, Mr. Bo Bichette, Bo has a 85 WRC plus and is less than a win. Right? So given the choice between those two players, yeah, I'm choosing Andres Jimenez and his contract because I'd rather not pay Bo Bichette $43 million. You know what I mean? So there's a little bit of give and take to this as well. I think the Yankees did well in that trade. I have concerns about what it does roster construction wise, because like I don't think Garcia can play anywhere but first, not functionally. He's a very good hitter. Ben Rice back to catching now I guess you can DH him and split time at first, but when Stanton comes back, what do you do then? I think they've got a whole lot of first basemen at this point and a whole lot of DHs. So I think it kind of jumbles some of their stuff up. I think you're going to end up seeing guys like either Rice at catching or Garcia at second, and both of those things are not ideal for a team who has had significant questions on the defensive side of the field over a couple of years now. It's going to be tough for him to maintain value if he's a platoon. And if you're not platooning him, then what are you doing with Ben Rice, who's the better player right now? So it's very interesting. Oh, you're saying that Doyle to the Sox is official now? Let me see here. Let me try to get on that. Yeah, apparently the Angels want more for Reed Detmers than they got for Soriano too. That's being reported right now as well, which is you know, I'd rather Soriano than Detmers. I'll say that right now. Let's see if we can figure out what they're getting for Brenton Doyle. I don't see any reporting right now about what's coming back the other way. So when we get that information, we will give that to you. But acquiring Brenton Doyle is kind of an interesting thing for them. You know, it's kind of an interesting pickup. I'm not a Brenton Doyle guy. Like I guess you're betting on a rebound there a little bit, but it's not a player that I would necessarily be moving assets for. Yeah, the Taylor Ward deal is interesting. I don't feel like Seattle gave up much of anything in that deal, to be frank. So Taylor Ward's a flawed player, but Taylor Ward has his role, and I think he's a good baseball player. No, JoJo Parker's in single A. He's still got a ways to go. Clement isn't a shortstop. Why isn't Clement a shortstop? Clement at shortstop defensively has actually been better, not just this season, but in his career than he has been at second. So like, I don't necessarily agree with that take. Ideally, Clement would be more of a platoon, but I definitely don't necessarily agree with that take. Yeah, I'm just not like the biggest Arjun Namala guy. So, like I said, that deal for me was a big win. You know, like that's a pretty big win. I think the Angels did well. I don't think they have the developmental system that's ideal for developing a player like Arjun Namala. I feel like they're probably going to rush him. I feel like they're probably going to trade Zach Neto today and try to rush him to the big leagues. But, so we'll see kind of what that looks like for them. But it's going to be tricky. It's going to be tricky, but like, I don't think that's the best environment organizationally for a player like Namala to kind of reach his ceiling. So that would be an interesting thing. Who should the Blue Jays target next? I think they should be targeting Sell, right? So like I've said that before, like, hopefully Springer's able to, agree to a spot like Gausman did. Varsho, Jesus Sanchez, Bieber, Scherzer, get moving, right? Get moving off these guys if you can. That's the way that I view it. I'd rather retool, move forward, and go from there. Oh, thank you. Well, Jimenez still has multiple years, and his contract gets more expensive next season, right? So, like Andreas Jimenez probably isn't going anywhere. Like I think Jays fans, again, like I know you guys all hate him, and the contract is not good. But like he's here through 2029. Like he's not going anywhere unless you're going to eat a whole lot of that contract. And maybe they do. Maybe they're willing to. But like I don't see it as the most likely thing. Yeah, it depends, right? So like if you offer him the QO though, like there's a chance he just takes the QO, right? Depending on like this is a labor stoppage time, right? There is a good chance that qualifying offer he'd just take it. So I'd rather deal for pieces. If you want to bring him back, then bring him back, right? So I'm a Varsho guy. I like Dalton Varsho. Again, I'm a big defense guy in general, though. But like I would move him. That's where I'm at. I would definitely move him. But like everybody has their own take, everybody has their own feel on these things. I just think that, like I said, right now, with the idea of being able to retool, why hold on to assets if you can get something for them and then retool in the offseason? If you want to bring these players back, you can. Is there a chance we see Bloss, Perry, or Tiedemann in September? I think it's less likely you're going to see Tiedemann or Perry. Perry, obviously, like he got nicked up by a comebacker a week and a half ago or whatever. And like, I think there's an opportunity you could see him. You know, Tiedemann, he's still being built up. We'll see how the next few appearances go. I think he'll probably pitch tomorrow. Um, Bloss, I think there's a much better chance you could see him in September, though. But like again, if Tiedemann looks great for a couple weeks here, there's definitely a chance you could see him, right? Like there's definitely a chance because they're looking to get information, you know. Oh, Matt, it's still a long way till the deadline. We still got 5 hours till the deadline's up, right? These conversations are all happening. If he is, if Bieber's trade, who will take his spot? I'm guessing you'll see like one of the usual suspects between like Chad Dallas, or I'm not sure if Dallas can be called back up right now or if he's still on that holding period. Or like maybe they just add a guy like Simeon Woods Richardson. I think Woods Richardson pitched 3 days ago, so he'd be good for a couple innings. There's a few guys, like you can bring up a few different guys and eat those innings, just do an extended bullpen day. It is what it is, right? No, you're not going to trade Vladdy. People need to stop with the Vladdy stuff. Like people need to stop with the Vladdy stuff. He's having a bad year. It happens, right? It happens to really good players sometimes, right? Like it's just one of those things. It's baseball, right? We've seen lots of players have this happen to them. You know, obviously I've said for 2 months now I think he's banged up. Um when guys have to start working harder to generate head speed, they have to start earlier. The easiest way to tell if a guy's starting earlier and like cheating a bit is looking at chase rates. Are they chasing more? Vladdy's chasing 11% more this year than he was last year. I don't think his eye got worse. I think he's having to start his swing earlier because he's feeling something. So I'm not overly concerned about Vladdy. I think that I wouldn't be shocked if at some point, if they do sell off a whole bunch of pieces, if you see Vladdy get shut down for a little while. But like, I'm definitely not going to look or consider a trade for Vladimir Guerrero unless what you're getting back is like an exceptional return, you know? Yeah, Varsho's arm was never good though. Like, you know, Dalton Varsho's arm was never a selling feature of the player. So I have a hard time with that one because like you look at Varsho now, like arm strength 78.1. If you look at him 3 years ago, 4 years ago, like it's down, but like he never had a cannon. He's never had even a league average arm in his entire career. You know, like it's down, no question, but like it's still never been league average. And his arm strength is up from where it was last year as well. So coming back from like a major shoulder surgery is tough, you know, but you know, everybody's going to have their take on it at the end of the day. What would a Varland package look like to what team? So like Tommy, what team are you thinking? Give me a team and I'll tell you what's a package that I would agree to. That could be a fun little exercise for us. I think JoJo moves to third. I think that's where the idealized, like the optimized, the realized version of JoJo Parker is at third base. Moreno's been good. The questions about Moreno are just, can he stay on the field, right? Like that's the big question with Gabriel Moreno. It's just like, can he stay on the field? And that's been an issue for him throughout his career at this point, right? So Moreno this year, let's look at it. Let's just pull it up so I can get exact numbers. You know, he's played 85 games, 8 home runs, 127 WRC plus. He's got 2.9 WAR. Like it's the best season of his career, no question. Over the last few years, like he's been a mid-2 player, like mid-2 WAR player. He's never had more than 380 plate appearances in his career. Like, he's doing some things really well this year. I think Gabriel Moreno is a really good player. But again, we were trading from a position of strength and you got to give something to get something. They felt like Kirk was the guy based off of the last 2 years. Like he was pretty clearly the guy. You know what I mean? And if you look at the package of Varsho and Kirk versus Gurriel and Moreno, Varsho and Kirk have outperformed them like pretty significantly. You know, that's just kind of the reality. You're a better Blake Murphy. Oh, I'll take that. I like Blake though. How long do we have Soriano for? He's not a free agent until 2029. Cubs for Varsho? Well, they wouldn't be Cubs now. I think the Cubs minor league system is pretty depleted. There's nothing at the top of the Cubs minor league system that I would be like overly enthusiastic about anyway. So let's do a different team because we just dealt with the Cubs. Would you move on from Lucas? Yeah, I'd be more than willing to consider moving off Lucas. Somebody wanted to provide some level of value for him, sure. Yeah, thanks, Lakers. Appreciate it, man. Yeah, it will be do the Yankees. So if we were to do Louis Varland to the Yankees, what would I want in return for Louis Varland? Well, I've said before that if I were to trade Louis Varland, I would want a significant overpay, like a significant overpay. So that overpay would start with I'm kind of torn between their top two actually, because there's pros and cons between Lombard and Kilby. I'd probably say because where they are in the developmental cycle, I'd say it would start with George Lombard, right? If you can't get Lombard, then you get Kilby, but one of those two has to be in the deal. Without question, one of those two has to be in the deal. I would say that Henry Lillane would have to be in the deal as well. Who else would I like? It would be one more piece. And that one more piece would probably be like Jay Savina is fun. No, that's not where I'd go. No. Sorry, it's not so much fun when I'm reading through pages right now. Tony Rossi is pretty fun. Like I think there's a pitch mix there I like, and I think he could fit into a bullpen today. So that would be kind of a Yankees mix, but it would be a haul to move him. You would have to be giving up an absolute haul, right? Would you move on from Kirk? He's on a really affordable contract, and he's a damn good player. It's really, really hard to miss 2.5 months of the season and then come back midstream and have timing, right? Like it's a really, really hard thing to do. I've had to do it. It sucks. And it's a really, really hard thing to do. Oh, thank you so much, man. Big time super chat. This is actually the biggest super chat I've had. It says, love your content. Some of the best on social media. Keep it up. Any bats you think we could get? I heard they were open to taking on bigger contracts. I'm assuming they prefer controllable. Yeah. So like the most likely of the guys that have been talked about, I would say there's three, right? So Wyatt Langford, Kyle Stowers, I think would be my top two. And then there's a conversation to be had around Alec Burleson as well. But I think that those players would be kind of the three controllable guys that would make sense in this lineup. Obviously Stowers is really, really good. I think Wyatt Langford would be my number one though. So that's kind of where I'd go with that. And thank you so much for the support and the love. The super chats are always really appreciated, as is everything else. And for the people that aren't watching on YouTube, if you want to support my content, follow me on YouTube. I'm really trying to build that up over there. So like, it's always greatly, greatly appreciated. And it's so much fun getting to do more and more of the long form content. Yeah, I guess you'd have to add CJ Abrams into that conversation as well. Because if you can get CJ Abrams and the value is not like absurd, it's also a consideration that you just have to go with at a certain point. Kilby, Lombard, and Jones. Yeah, if they were offering Kilby, Lombard, and Jones, you kind of just have to make that deal. Despite the fact that I'm not really the biggest Spencer Jones guy. It's not a profile I love. I know people like are enamored with power profiles. I think that I chase elite tool, right? I don't really care what the elite tool is, but I want to chase an elite tool. So I want you to have a true 65 grade or above tool. That's why when people were shitting on the Brett Bateman acquisition, I'm like, listen, I get there's little to no power in that profile, but it's a 70 grade runner with 70 grade defense and like a real legitimate 55 to 60 grade hit tool. Like I think his bat to barrel skill is really, really good. So yeah, there's no power, but the overall profile is super fun. And if any power develops, like if he can be a guy that can get to, you know, 10 home runs a year in the future, 8 home runs a year in the future, or just a guy that gets more with the gap to gap and the doubles and become a 35 double guy, all of a sudden there's a ton of value in that profile, right? Like people really undervalue how important elite defense and center field is, you know. Yeah, like people really, really undervalue how elite or how important elite defense is. Luis Ariz, the Ariz deal is interesting because like they actually got way more for Luis Ariz than I thought they would get. I'm not gonna lie. Talking about zero power profiles that ended up I think that I think it really confuses their lineup construction. I think the idea that you are um now having to move Baum and having to move Harper and like it's just a lot of moving pieces for a guy who doesn't provide a ton of impact. So I think it's fine. I'm shocked that they gave up Ramon Marquez in the deal. Like Caleb Killian's a good player, you know, to get as well. But like I'm shocked that they gave up Marquez for a rise. Like I just to me that seems like an overpay, but they're obviously trying to win it this year. A package for CJ Abrams. What would I give up for CJ Abrams? Okay, this is a kind of a fun exercise that we're doing here where I think that value would lie. So if I'm trading for CJ Abrams and I'm trying to be realistic, so what's like the maximum that I would give up for CJ Abrams? I would give up. So the absolute maximum, I wouldn't want to do this, but like Nolan Perry, Nolan Perry, Jake Cook, Jake Bloss, or if you could get away with a lower primary player, if you could go Gage Stanifer, I would be willing to go with Stanifer, Keys, and then one of the pitchers. If you want to go Danny Thompson, or if you wanted to go with Bloss, or I'd be willing to do one of those, you know. Or if you wanted like a higher upside guy that's further away, like a Carson Messina or something, I'd do that. But ideally, I'd be looking to move Stanifer and Keys more than other guys. But it depends on what you want, right? People get really enamored with power profiles. So sometimes you can, guys like Sean Keys can carry a little bit more value than they think they're going to, because people really, really love the idea of power. Yeah, no. But here's the thing: giving up Nolan Perry is like that's a real prospect, right? Like that's a top 100 prospect. Like I said, like you're talking real value. So, like I said, if you had to give up Nolan Perry, like there are drafts or prospect rating services that have Perry as a borderline top 50 prospect in all baseball right now, right? So if you're giving up Perry and two other pieces from your top 15, really Perry, another top 10 and a top 15, like that's a haul, right? That's a haul of agreement. Also, that's what I'd be willing to do at maximum. That's not what the Washington Nationals would be willing to do at maximum. Those two things would be very, very different. I just like I said, I have some questions about CJ Abrams at the end of the day. Uh, Random. I find it weird that people spend time trolling. That's never made sense to me. Um, do you see Spencer Miles cracking the rotation next year? I think he could. I really like Spencer Miles as a reliever. I really like him as a reliever. I think his stuff plays up. I think it limits some of the arm concern issues. I think he can start, and if he does start, he's like a 4 or 5 starter. If he goes into a back end bullpen role, like I think he's like a high leverage reliever like tomorrow. I think that his stuff plays up so much in short outings. Everything is sharper, everything is tighter. He's a guy that when he does pitch at max effort, like he actually pitches quite well at max effort. So I would have him as a back end bullpen guy. But like I said, depending on what happens in the offseason, if you really do think you can develop him because he does have a multitude of pitches, then I understand that as well. I would just be definitely looking for him more as like a high leverage reliever. Like if you move out Hoffman, um, Miles to me is the new 7th or 8th inning guy. Nothing new about the Jays so far. I keep recycling my or refreshing my my notifications on Twitter to see if there's anything new that's popped up, and I'm watching the MLB network as well while we're doing this. So I'm hoping that we get more news. I think there will be more news. Oh, okay. We got the return for Brenton Doyle. Let's bring it up here. And like, it's a better return than I thought they were going to have to give up. Like, they gave up Mason Adams, who, like, that's not nothing. Like, he's older. He's 26 years old. I get that. But, like, awesome control, great breaking ball. And, like, he's had a good year. Like, he's had a good year this year. I'm a bit surprised that they had to give up a top 10 prospect for him. Like, I'm definitely a bit surprised about it. So good return for Colorado. Like, good return for the Rockies. I didn't think they were gonna get somebody who was a top 8 prospect for them. So that's a good grab. To be seen, right, Noah? We aren't totally sure how that will affect it. Realistically, the contacts would just have one less year on them, but we have seen sometimes they put in language to as part of the CBA to restructure so players can claim all of their earnings. So that would be negotiated. But right now, as it sits now, those contracts would just roll. Beavers trade, do you think Soriano could start tonight? No. I think that would be highly unlikely. I don't know, when was Soriano's last start. I'm not sure which night he pitched, because all of these deals still need to be approved through Major League Baseball. So it would be very, very unlikely that would be approved quick enough. And then he pitched on the 26th of July. So he's definitely due for, that's right. They skipped his last start. They skipped his start on Saturday or whatever. So he could pitch as soon as he gets to the facility. I just don't think it's gonna be that quick, right? I don't think it's gonna be that quick. Yeah, they scratched him from his last start. What type of return do you think the Jays can get for Vlad? There's no deal that would be worth it for this organization that somebody else would be willing to pay, right? Like, it's one of those situations where the player is more valuable for the club that they currently play on. And you wouldn't want to sell low on him anyways. Like, that just wouldn't make any sense. Let's see if there's any new news flying around right now. Nothing overly new. Like, Heyman had the Adele news. What's Heyman saying? Set a very high price for Kyle Stowers, which makes sense. Like, you're not going to move him for nothing. Rutschman deal not done yet. Let's see what Passan's up to. Let's see what Jeff Passan's saying. Seattle Mariners Taylor Ward was the last thing he talked about. I like that Passan just posts things that are done. Let's see what Rosenthal does. He usually likes a little bit more of the speculation than other people do. Yeah, deal with medical reviewed. Talking about Brenton Doyle mostly. Yeah, nothing new yet. We're in a little bit of a holding pattern right now, guys. Casey Mize landing spots. I honestly, I would have thought Mize had a chance to go to Philadelphia. Not sure about that. I think Milwaukee makes a level of sense for Mize as well. They have like a glut of prospects to trade too. Like, Milwaukee is kind of, for the Jays, Milwaukee is where I was hoping that they're going to send prospects, because they have so many guys in their system that I just really, really, really like. Like, so many guys in the system that I just really, really, really like. But we'll see what Milwaukee's willing to do, because, like, on top of being a loaded system, they're also cheap as hell. So whether or not they're even willing to acquire a player, who knows? Sorry, guys, just need a little sip of coffee there since I've been talking so long. The way it works out right now is it looks like Gossman versus Tyon on Thursday, so we'll see if that happens or not. I don't understand the why people hate Jeff Hoffman. So here's the thing. You can be mad at Hoffman for the home run he gave up in the World Series, and still acknowledge that he's been exceptionally good. Like not just like a little bit good, like exceptionally good. you know, like it's one of those things that's always very confusing to me that you just actively, not you, but just the fan base in general is very confusing. So if you look this year from June 1st on, which is more than half the season, by the way, just so we can be clear on that's not a small amount of time. That is more than half of the season. Okay. And if you look at Blue Jays pitchers in that time span, okay, take away qualified, put it down to just innings. In that time, okay, Jeff Hoffman, since June 1st, has a 1.21 ERA. He has over 12 Ks per nine. He's been essentially unhittable. In that same span of time, Louis Varland has a 2.1 ERA, so almost a full point higher with 10.87 K per nine. Jeff Hoffman for half of the season has been better than Louis Varland. And you'll say, well, yeah, but Varland's doing the closer role. Yeah, and when was Varland better than Hoffman? When Hoffman was doing the closer role. So again, like you can slice this however you want. If you don't even have to qualify this as Blue Jays pitchers, right? Just look at, so minimum 25, we'll go 20 innings since June 1st, minimum 20 innings since June 1st. In Major League Baseball, Jeff Hoffman has the 12th best ERA in baseball amongst all pitchers who have thrown 20 innings. The only people who are also leverage guys that have better numbers would be Mason Miller, Tyler Rogers, Uribe, Bednar, Hader. That's it. Like he hasn't just been good for a couple months. Like he's been extraordinary for a few months. Like I'll never understand we just need to get him off our team. Like he has been genuinely exceptional for more than 2 months this year. He has given up runs in 6 of his last 38 appearances. 6 of his last 38 appearances, he's given up runs. Like at a certain point, it's an intelligence thing, I think, and I'm not calling you out on that Blue Jays production. It's just like, man, I see it on Twitter all the time. We need to get him off the team. He has been in his role as a setup guy since he's moved to the setup role. He has been one of the top 5 best setup relief guys in all of baseball. And guess what? Of those top 5, we have one of the other ones too. So we have an elite leverage bullpen right now. And people are just like, fuck that guy. Get him out of here. He's terrible. 1.21 ERA over the last fucking more than 2 months. 6 runs in his last 38 appearances. Like, I don't get it. It's genuinely like it's bordering on unfathomable for me. Yeah, it's unfathomable at a certain point. So yeah, if a team is willing to give up a real prospect value for him, absolutely. But yeah, it's ludicrous at a certain point. Yeah, it's just at a certain point, it's ludicrous, the loathing that this guy gets. Jeff Hoffman, public enemy number 1, Jeff Hoffman, who's been one of the best relievers in baseball since June 1st. But yeah, no, he's terrible, and we got to shoot him publicly. I don't understand it. It's beyond confusing for me. It's beyond confusing. The need for Blue Jays fans to cheer against their own players is just, it's one of the weirdest, creepiest things in all of sports. And it's so Toronto centric because Blue Jays fans do it, Raptors fans do it. You need to hate somebody. This is what I was saying about the Kevin Gausman trade. I said the worst thing about the Kevin Gausman trade is that people are so pissed off about trading Kevin Gausman that they've already decided that they want Brett Bateman to fail and they want Ty Southseen to fail. So when Brett Bateman comes up and gets an opportunity, if he has 2 bad games, people have made their minds up. This kid will be hated immediately. People are cheering for him to fail, even if silently. It's unfortunate, right? Vlad went through it in 2024. Everybody wanted him dealt. Last year, everybody wanted him shit on all year. Playoffs, now we're all fans. The second he had a rough go this season, boom, he's dead again. It's not trauma. It's not trauma. It's laziness. Blue Jays fans are casual and lazy. I'm not saying all of them. They have a great, great dedicated fan base as well. There's a dedicated fan base of this team that is unbelievably good, like just awesome. The casual side of this fan base is the worst fan base in the sport. Like it's brutal because they actively cheer against their own players. And once they decide they hate you, there's nothing you can do to recover. Right. So, yeah, it's unfortunate. Leafs fans, go back to watching the Leafs is the moral of the story. Stay away from the Raptors and Blue Jays. You ruin everything. Oh, man, like Jason, I've lived in a lot of places, man. I've lived in a lot of places, and this is a very Toronto-centric thing, right? Yeah, it's a very Toronto-centric thing. Jays fans only care about the personality, like the casual fans. Munenori Kawasaki is beloved in this city. Like I heard until 2 years ago, people still going, they should bring back Mooney. Like the casual fans were still calling for the great times. Like, remember when we had Munenori Kawasaki and how great he was? Munenori Kawasaki's best season of his big league career, he hit 258 with a 296 slug and a 79 WRC plus. He was a 0.4 WAR. Like, but they love him. They absolutely love the guy. It's wild to me, and that's not even to shit on Munenori Kawasaki, but like it's a very, very fascinating thing how like play on field doesn't matter. It's all about perception, and if the perception's not good, the fan base hates you. Yeah, Ryan Goings, yeah, same thing, man. So yeah, it's a very, very, very odd thing to me. I don't understand it. Oh, I love the Soriano trade. Like, I'm not a Namala guy at the end of the day. Like, I think that's where it stems from, is just I'm not really a Namala guy. So I and Micheletti is just an org guy. Rivero is largely just, like I said, that's a lottery ticket. The arm talent is really good. He profiles as a reliever long term, but like it's a lottery ticket. He's so far away. He's still in DSL. Soriano is like a legitimate dude with legitimate stuff that just loses the zone sometimes. We've proven to be pretty good track record wise of taking pitchers like that and finding ways to get them in the zone more. So I think it's a big win. I'm just not the biggest Namala guy. I just see difficulties with that. Yeah, but so Giovanni, like let's talk about this rationally. So here's the comment. So it says the Gausman return is underwhelming. Southseen and Bateman are mid-tier prospects, best case. Okay. Kevin Gausman since June 1st. So let's just think about who Kevin Gausman is. I love him. He's one of the greatest free agent signings in Blue Jays history. There's no question about that. Love the guy, love how he is, amazing guy in the room, everything else. He is 35 and a half years old. Okay. He's a free agent at the end of the year. And since June 1st, he has a 5.86 ERA. So he is one of the worst qualified. I think it's the third worst qualified ERA in the major leagues since June 1st. He has been abysmal since June 1st. Right. So I get all the emotions about Kevin Gausman and everything else. But like I said in the videos leading up and the lives leading up, this was never going to be a superstar haul because he's a near 36-year-old impending free agent with a near 6 ERA over the last 2 months. The return was always going to be underwhelming because the play on the field has been underwhelming and it's a rental. So to get a guy who can come in and play center field at the big league level right now, today, who has a career 396 on base percentage. He's got a 430 on base percentage in the minor leagues this year, is a 70 grade runner, a 70 grade defender, and has a 60 grade hit tool. So bat to barrel, fantastic. Yeah, power's not there, right? Elite defender, elite runner, unbelievable plate approach, gets on base a shit ton, steals bases, puts pressure on defenses. What's the downside? South Zine, I have more questions about because like the speed's really really good, the approach is really really good, even sometimes a bit too passive for me. I have more questions about Southazine because the potential is there where it can improve, but there's no power in that profile. So I've got questions about him and how he projects long term. He reminds me a lot of David Eckstein. Like if it works out, like Southazine reminds me a ton of David Eckstein. Like anytime I watch him play, that's what I get. David Eckstein all the time, which is both a compliment and an insult at the same time. But like Bateman can come in and play today. Like I said, like he's got an 851 OPS playing at AAA, in the international league. So it's not like he's playing in the PCL and balls are just flying around. He's playing in the IL, 851 OPS, 430 on base percentage, elite defense, elite speed. What's what do we expect to get? Right? Like I see so many people that are mad. They're like, well, I wanted to get James Triantos. I wanted to get James Triantos. Why? Like, that's the confusing one to me is like Toronto's, what's the carrying tool? The power is okay. Like there's some power in there, but like people are begging for him, like people are freaking out. Like Bateman, we wanted Triantos. Guys, he has 35 graded power on MLB pipeline without an elite carrying tool. So you want a guy who has 35 graded power? Because like everybody likes to quote pipeline. So on pipeline, Triantos has a 35 graded power. Bateman has 30 graded power. Every other tool, Bateman has a better one. Like I'm just confused by it. People just want to complain. Like people just want to complain at the end of the day, I think. So I don't know, getting a question mark prospect who's actually higher rated, like BA has Southazine ranked 10 in the Cubs system. And a guy like Bateman who can step in and play and has 2 elite carrying skills. For an expiring 36-year-old free agent pitcher with a near 6 ERA over the last 2 months. That's about the return that I expected. So I guess that maybe that's why I'm not upset about it, because I'm objective about who you're trading, right? So, I'm very confused. I think Bieber gets traded. I think Varsho, I wonder if he does get traded. I thought with the Bateman acquisition that it was almost a certainty Varsho was done. It looks like Bateman's going to Buffalo. So we'll see what that means. But I think there's a good chance that of the remaining guys that there will be movement, whether that is Jesus Sanchez, Dalton Varsho, Bieber, Scherzer. Like there's a lot of guys that could be, Jeff Hoffman, etc. So I think there is more trades that are going to happen. It's just going to take time. We're also very far away from the deadline still. Yeah, if you can get somebody to pay for Ernie, like if somebody's willing to overpay for Ernie, yeah, it's something you'd have to consider, right? Like at the end of the day, he's still controllable for a long time and very, very affordable. So it's not something I'd be rushing to do by any means, though. Yeah, I don't. So, and Chad, I don't think that Bieber's last start affects people at all, right? This is a guy with an extremely long track record of throwing strikes. So he's got, career ERA or career innings. Where is Bieber at for career innings? He has thrown 914 and 2/3 innings in his career. I don't think, and as an elite command control guy, one bad start's not going to scare people away. Like at the end of the day, like I think the hard contact stuff is more likely to scare them away, that he's giving up a lot of hard contact. But yeah, but like why those guys? So Giovanni, like why Jackson Wiggins in particular? Like I get it, he throws 99 miles an hour, but like he's been, if we want to be nice, he's been dog shit. You know what I mean? Like Jackson Wiggins has not been good. Like he's got a big fastball. In 10 starts this year, he's got a 7 ERA. He's given up 30 hits and 20 walks in 28 and 2/3 innings. Like he has been genuinely terrible. So like I get that the fastball is enticing or whatever, but like he's been bad. Caleb Wing, no elite tool. He is in single A right now. He's got like I said, the strikeout numbers are good. Walks are high. Walks 4.5 per nine. I get it as an upside play though. He's real far away. Yeah, he's got an electric arm, but he also doesn't get anybody out. So like you'd rather the guy with the big electric arm that right now is a starter. That's definitely not going to start long term though. He's going to be a bullpen guy, but he doesn't actually miss a ton of bats and he doesn't throw a ton of strikes. I don't see the allure. Like I get the lottery ticket of it all, I guess, but like it's very confusing to me why, because I see this name thrown around a lot. And if it was Jackson Wiggins a couple of years ago, sure, man, I get that one for sure. Before we kind of figured out more about him, I guess is the best way the best way to kind of put it. But yeah, no, I just don't. I don't know. I don't necessarily see it. Um, yeah, I guess that's the easiest way to put it. I just don't really see the allure of Wiggins. Like I think he's fine. I think he's fine, but it's definitely not somebody that I'm like, ooh, I can't believe we didn't get him. You know what I mean? Like it's definitely not somebody that I'm having like buyer's remorse because we didn't get a guy who's struggling to throw strikes and getting absolutely barreled all over the place and has a 7 ERA because he throws 98, right? Like, I don't know. Sometimes throwing hard doesn't mean shit if you don't know where it's going. That's the difficulty. Wish we use Arjun in a trade for a bat with control instead. Our offense, the worst in baseball. A lot of that is just performance. Guys, this isn't a trade for now. This is a trade for next year. This team's going to look different. If you walked into this year and said, hey, you're going to be without your, who was your number 4 hitter last year for the first 2 and change months, he's going to have to come back midstream and try to figure out his timing. You're going to be without, the guy who was your number 2 hitter in the playoffs last year. And he's not going to play. He's going to get 25 plate appearances all year. George Springer is going to have the worst season of his career going into, July 25th. Vladimir Guerrero is going to have the worst season of his career at this point as well. And every supporting player is also going to kind of bottom out and have the worst season of their career. You can't expect it, right? Like you can't. The injuries have been an issue. Underperformance is a thing. It happens sometimes at the end of the day, but I'm not overly worried about the offense as a whole. Like I think Barger will be back next year. Guerrero will be back to who Guerrero normally is. I think Kirk, like I said, having to come back midstream, especially as a catcher, is really, really hard to do. So going into next year, like if he's healthy, I'm a lot more confident in what that's going to look like. I think Okamoto is a good player. We'll see what happens in center field. We'll see what happens in the corners. But yeah, no, I think they could go out and still get a controllable bat, but I don't think it's like, Jose Soriano is like a really good get. That's a really, really good get. So Sam, we talked about this earlier. Like I said, for the controllable guys that are on the market right now, like Wyatt Langford, CJ Abrams, Kyle Stowers, they're all there and they're guys that have been talked about. So yeah, like there's lots of potential options for guys. Why don't you watch the Leafs? I do watch the Leafs. I hate watch them though, unfortunately. Well, and Ryan, like there has to be a marketplace, like if Bieber's not moved, it's because they didn't see a reason to move Bieber, right? Like that's that's the reality. Like if maybe they want to offer him a QO and see if they can get something for him, right? So, who knows what the logic is. But there's a lot of things that could still happen. Langford would be nice. Yeah, Langford would be nice. Tony and Barger coming back. And that's what I'm saying, right? Like everybody's so worried about the offense. You know what I mean? Like a couple guys underperformed and you're missing massive pieces in your lineup. Like I know people want to be shitty on Kirk all the time. Again, if you haven't done it, then you won't understand it. But coming back into a season halfway through the year and trying to get your timing as a hitter is fucked. Like it's so challenging. It's so difficult to do. Kirk will be fine. Missing him for over 2 months of the season is a blow, right? No Barger, no Santander. Like, again, career worst performance by Vladimir Guerrero. You've start to factor all these things in. You know, Varsho having career worst performance, Springer career worst performance, not like kind of sorta, but like legitimately career worst. Like when players all kind of have that bad year at the same time, that's tough, man. And part of it comes to they had a long ass year last year, right? Like they played later than anybody, you know, other than, you know, them and the Dodgers, right? And sometimes this happens, man. Like you just have a year that's just like, you know, not to say like a bit cursed, but like it almost feels like it some days. You know, it almost feels like it some days. Yeah, like you know, let's get rid of Jimenez too. Like if you can move off Jimenez without having to eat a ton of money, like then sure. Um, you know, but we'll see. Like I'm not as, you know, dedicated to like you need to get off of him. Like at the end of the day, he's, you know, 95th percentile in defense, and that's after having a bad first 2 weeks. You know what I mean? Like he's one of the premier defensive shortstops in the game. And at the end of the year, he's still going to be between a 2 and a 2.5 win player. You know what I mean? So I don't know. I don't think it's I don't think it's overly urgent to move Jimenez. If you could to save the money, then sure. But like, you know, if you have to eat $60 million of money, then like there's no point to do it, right? You know. Yeah, it's really hard to come back from injury halfway through and get your timing. Like it's really, really hard to do. Who's your favorite MLB prospect? Well, if we're talking like Toronto Blue Jays, so my favorite prospect in all of the minor leagues last year. So if you ask me any system, any player, who's my guy, it's Kendry Rojas. It was Kendry Rojas, and the Jays traded him away. Now they got Varland for him, but like Kendry Rojas was like my guy. And this is not to say he's the best prospect in minor league baseball or anything like that, but he's just the guy that I loved. He reminds me so much of like a young Johan Santana, who is another prospect that I absolutely loved. And I know that took a little while for Johan to figure it out. But I just think Kendry Rojas is awesome. You know, amongst Jays players, like in the Jays prospect system, I'll always have a soft spot for Victor Arias. You know, Victor Arias is a guy that I just really, really, really like. Um, you know, actually now that Brett Bateman's there, Bateman's a guy that, like I said, I liked him pre-draft. He's just so scrappy. He does everything but hit for power. You know, so I like him. There's like a how Brett Bateman plays will remind you a lot of Reed Johnson, right? They're not the same player at all. But like how Bateman plays and the kind of FU kind of hustle to him, he'll remind you of Reed Johnson. Like he's just a bit of a dirtbag. Like I've always been a Bateman guy. That's why, like I said, like I'm happy with this return because he's a player that I've always liked. Other guys in their system that I'm like I'm a huge Ricky Tiedemann fan. I think Ricky Tiedemann's fantastic. I do. I think he's great. You know, I think he's great. So that's another guy I really like. Danny Thompson is a guy that I've always really liked as well. Again, that goes into a whole lot of other stuff, but yeah, like that's a dude that I've been into. Javen Coleman, I made videos about him and Sean Keys before the year. Yondry Rojas is another guy that I really, really like. So it's not about all the premier guys, but it's there are guys that I just think are, you know, undervalued. Yeah, if you were absent, would you sell high on Clement? Well, it depends on what somebody's willing to trade for Clement, right? Like, so if sell high on him, if somebody was willing to pay me a high premium for Ernie Clement, yeah, I'd sell him. Yeah, I'm not. Yeah, Ricky will get here one day. It's not that he's always hurt; it's one injury, right? So, Ricky Tiedemann, the genesis of this was over the span of 2.5 years. He had forearm strain, bicep tendonitis, forearm strain, Tommy John. It's all the same injury, right? Like at the end of the day, it's all the same injury. So it's not like he's frequently hurt. It's just like I said, he was battling one thing for a long time, right? So, is that? Oh, that's a weird move. Josh Smith for Adam Macko. Let's see. Is that like for sure? It's an interesting buy low. At the end of the day, like it's kind of an interesting buy low. Like, you know, he's a usable player. I wonder if they're moving a middle infielder. I wonder if they are going to move a middle infielder because that's an interesting one, especially as a left-handed hitting second baseman primarily. I guess he can primarily just a second baseman though. So I wonder. Mako's whatever to me. Like I don't have I don't have high hopes or anything for Adam Mako. I think Adam Mako is like a fine enough, middle relief guy, long relief guy. But is it not Josh Smith? Somebody just wrote Josh Smith in the comments. Beard oil routine. I make my own beard oil and my own beard balm. I've been actually thinking about, I used to sell it and we used to have a business because I do soap making and stuff as well. But yeah, no, I use my own beard oil and my own beard balm and I make sure that I groom regularly. Yeah, Josh Smith. Like that's yeah, like I'm literally looking at Rangers Josh Smith right now. I don't know. I don't know what else to tell you. What's the debate here? Like Rangers Josh Smith right here. Like I said, buy low utility guy, primarily second base. I'm breaking news better than Sportsnet. Yeah, boy. It's because I'm just scanning. Actually, I'll give the credit to the chat. The chat's been lighting me up with breaking news because it's hard to manage the three chats I'm looking at, and also still getting the breaking news side of things. Yeah, so it's I don't care so much about the Canadian thing. Would you do Varsho and Hoffman for Gage Wood? Yeah, I would do Varsho and Hoffman for Gage Wood, and I'd go pack their bags and drive them to the airport. I would do Varsho and Hoffman and Bieber and Jesus Sanchez for Gage Wood. I would trade multiple pieces for Gage Wood. I think Gage Wood is very, very, very good. So I don't think they would. But like I would definitely have a consideration of like if they offered that trade, like you don't even let them hang up. You just say yes, you get another phone going, you get that deal approved before they ever get off the phone. Oh, I thought you were saying it was a different Josh Smith. I was like, I don't think so, dude. I was like, I think that's the right one. To me, this is an interesting one because again, like he's a utility guy. So like, are they moving off of like Urias maybe? Clement Jimenez? Like it seems like one of them, Davis Schneider maybe? Like Davis Schneider could actually make sense as somebody that they move with this as a replacement. Obviously, he's a left-handed hitter, like Josh Smith is. Adam Mako, like I said, Mako is what he is. Like Mako at the end of the day isn't exactly like, um, it's not much of a thing. You know what I mean? Yeah, no, that's why you're watching me right now. Don't watch the damn MLB network. Watch Cheap Seats. Yeah, watch Cheap Seats. You can get all the breaking news right here. And like I said, guys, on TikTok and Instagram, like if you don't follow me on YouTube, please follow me on YouTube. I'm really trying to build it up. Things like super chats are available, memberships are available as well. I'm trying to do some content there. I'm working on a Substack as well. So if you guys want to look at that, obviously I announced the other day I've got my podcast coming out through True Sports Live. So Instagram people follow True Sports Live because they've been like awesome for me personally. They're giving me a great opportunity here. That will be a basketball specific podcast. I'm looking to try to find a network that will allow me to do a regular baseball podcast as well. So, but there's lots of stuff going on. But if you don't follow me on YouTube, please follow me on YouTube. It's Sheepseed73, the same as everywhere else. And we can go from there. But yeah, I'll go on Josh Smith's Savant page right now. It's not pretty, guys. Like, actually, I can just show you Josh Smith's Savant page because I have it loaded up. Look at that. The miracle of television. So the YouTube or the TikTok people and the Instagram people, you can't see this screen. Well, actually, Instagram can. But yeah, Josh Smith is savant page. This is the 2026. Like, obviously, he hasn't played much in 2026. Let's get a better look by looking at 2025, right? So, what do we have here? We got some Blue Jays related stuff. Awesome approach, doesn't swing and miss much, makes contact. The contact's not overly hard, right? Good base runner, meh on the defensive side. 2024 doesn't really change. Obviously, he's had double digit home runs and steals in 2 of the last 3 years. This year, the opportunity cost has just been lower at the end of the day. What? No, Josh Smith. Oh, interesting. Hold on. Wait a second, guys. Let me do a little bit of digging here because it doesn't happen too often, but I do not know Josh Steven. Josh Steven is a 25-year-old who is currently in AAA. Yeah, seems just like an add-in at this point. Obviously, I don't know much about him. 101 innings pitched, 97 Ks. He's walked 31, given up a ton of home runs. That's also system specific and ballpark specific. Not the easiest park to pitch in. So, but like has had success in the minor leagues previously. Last year in AAA, 2.35 ERA. The peripheral numbers were not good. It's saying 40 grade fastball, 55 slider, good command. He was an undrafted guy, 6'3", 185. He's 24 years old. So it just seems like it's just an organizational depth guy who's capable of starting games if you need to, right? So it's just an org depth starter. But the big add of this is obviously more so on the side of, well, it's not big at Josh Smith. So to me, Josh Smith is a precursor to something else because it seems like they have too many bodies now. So Smith is, I don't know, like, does this mean Urias, Clement, Schneider, Jimenez? Like, I would imagine that somebody is probably going to be moved at this point to make this work with Josh Smith. Although, let me just look at his contract status because Josh Smith still has options as well, though. So 3 million are eligible. He's still got 2 years of control as well. So it's possible that like Josh Smith is just being looked at as like an org guy as well that has some major league experience and can play. Maybe they just assign him to Buffalo. Unless they do that, though, unless they move off another piece, adding his salary makes me think that they're not going to get under that 284 mark that they had the opportunity to try to get below. Yeah, relievers like Mako or a dime a dozen. I just, I'm not like I said, Adam Mako's fine. There's never been a situation where I've ever been like, oh man, Adam Mako, how could we possibly give up Adam Mako? Why we trade for him? He sucks. Like I said, he's had 2 good seasons in the past, right? Like you look at 24, he was 13 home runs, 11 stolen bases. I think he had a 730-ish OPS, plays multiple positions. Last year, he had an over 700 OPS, double-digit home runs, double-digit stolen bases, plays multiple positions. So like there is value in that. He is, at the end of the day, he is a fringe major leaguer who gives depth, right? And as we've seen this year, depth is critical. It's depth is critical, in this game. So I think that it's really, really important sometimes to get those guys. And like I said, it didn't cost anything really to get them. Like Adam Mako is not a big loss. There's 15 Adam Makos in this organization right now, right? Like, and that's not me being diminishing of Adam Mako or anything else, but like just in terms of guys who can come in and do Adam Mako like things, there's a lot of guys. You could literally call up Chad Dallas tomorrow, and it's an upgrade. Fernando Perez can do a lot of the Adam Macko stuff. You know what I mean? Like they're Grant Rogers could come up and do a similar thing. Like obviously those aren't left-handed pitchers. Javen Coleman can come up today and outperform Adam Macko. Right. So, Yandri Rojas is another guy that, like I said, like Macko was a guy with a 5 ERA in the minor leagues over the last 2 years at the end of the day. Yeah, Ernie was the same kind of profile, right? They're always looking for these guys that are, you know, high contact, high approach, multifaceted defenders because there's value in them if they hit, right? And that profile doesn't die, right? Like you can rely on a guy to put a bat on ball. Sometimes the BABIP monster is going to be in your favor at the end of the day. So I have no problems with giving up Mako for Josh Smith. Josh Smith is, I'm not buying a Josh Smith jersey anytime soon or anything. But yeah, I'm talking about yeah, there you go, Matt. But yeah, like I just, Mako for Smith is, you're just, like I said, you're getting a dime for, a dime more or less. You know what I mean? Like Josh Smith, I think carries more value than Adam Mako does because you can put Josh Smith into an everyday lineup, and Adam Mako at the end of the day is a middle reliever. And I think that position player is going to carry more value day to day. But at the end of the day, and you're acquiring like a whatever minor leaguer on top of it. But like 2 years ago, Josh Smith did have a 3-win season. Like he wasn't like a good player. Like he was a pretty damn good player 2 years ago. Like, I think it was like 2.8 or 2.9 or 3 wins. So like on value, like Josh Smith is a significant upgrade over Adam Mako, right? In terms of value. So I don't mind that deal at all, frankly. Are people saying Springer is gone, or are people asking if Springer is gone? Because I haven't seen that reported yet. So you guys, the wording some of you are using is psyching me out. Let's see, George Springer. Yeah, okay. I was like, is this news? Like, are you guys reporting this, or is this just something that's happening at random? And like I said, guys, if you don't follow me on YouTube, man, go up to my profile, check out my link tree. All of my Instagram's there, my YouTube's there, all that stuff is there. So if you don't follow on YouTube, give me a follow over there because that's what I'm really, really, really trying to build up. Yeah, I appreciate all the support and everything else. And for people that want, like, if you want to make sure your question is answered, like super chats on YouTube are available. If you send through a super chat, it automatically populates to my screen. So I will 100% be answering your question because like sometimes between the couple hundred people I have between the different things, sometimes I miss stuff. Yeah, it's not about whether or not we keep Springer. It's about whether or not Springer allows us to move him. Right. So if we move Springer, the return is going to be lower because it's going to be a very select move to a very select team. And that's going to be the reality of it. So if you move George Springer and he goes to, the Milwaukee Brewers or the Philadelphia Phillies or whoever, it's because he chose to allow you to trade him to there. So the return will be less for George Springer. So people need to be aware that the return is not going to be sexy because he is selecting his destination because of his 10-5 rights. But that's what it is, right? So that is Josh Smith. Yeah, maybe. Like I said, Smith is just a guy who can offer value in a few different ways, right? Like at the end of the day, it's not big value, but like I said, he was essentially a 3-win player 2 years ago. Like I said, there's value in that as a potential upside play, especially if you wanted to move off of a secondary player like an Arias or a Schneider, or maybe this is the Jimenez move will come up. You never know, but there are interesting things there to be able to do, right? So yeah. What do we got here? Which Meyer? Because there's a few of them. Like I said, like if somebody gives me a team, I can tell you kind of what I would think would be a fair return for George Springer would be. But under the circumstances, I can give you a prospect idea. But it's tricky without a specific team, right? But I think there are only a few teams that would consider him, and I do not think the returns could be overwhelming. Should we have gone for Freddie Peralta? No. I think the move for Soriano was the right move. Do you think we will go after more hitting? Maybe. Oh, Marcelo Meyer? No. I thought you were talking about Max for a second there. I was like, that's more likely. Marcelo Meyer will never go for George Springer. Like, I just think that there's a 0% chance. There is such a small chance that would happen that I didn't even think about the fact that it was a possibility. If you are trading George Springer to the Boston Red Sox, the type of prospect that I would like to see in return would be like, I think Eduardo Rivera could make sense. Lots of Ks, lefty reliever. I think that there's a level of sense that could make as a return. Jordani Monegro would be a return that would again make sense. If you were willing to add in additional value, like maybe you could climb up the board a little bit, like I don't think you'd get Cespedes or anything like that, but there are a few guys. But for George Springer, I'd be looking for like high velo, high level stuff reliever. That's the level of value that I think George would bring back. Anything more than that would be just spectacular dealings, right? Yeah, no, we talked about the Mako trade. Adam Mako, there's 20 Adam Makos in the organization, right? Like Javen Coleman can come up and do the Adam Mako role today. Josh Smith, despite having a really bad year this year, 2 years ago, he was a 3-win player. He's cheap, he's controllable, he plays multiple positions. He has a track record of double-digit home runs, double-digit stolen bases, and a 700 and above OPS in major leagues. So I think that's, a real deal thing. Yeah, I don't think that they overpaid for Soriano at all. I'm lower on Namala, to be fair. I just don't see the projection of Namala where a lot of people do. It reminds me a ton of Relvis Martinez, which is a good and a bad thing, right? The power tool is legit. Hitting 150 on breaking balls this year, that's a real problem. The swing and miss is a real problem. The swing decisions are a real problem. So if the power hits in a big way, then yeah, I get it. But like Micheletti is just an org guy. Like unless he becomes a 30 home run guy, like it's really, really tough for him without really another carrying tool to get to that level. And like Riveros, at the end of the day, that's just a lottery ticket. So I don't think it's an overpay. I think it's an appropriate pay. And of the Jays' top 6 prospects, Namala is the one that I would have wanted to give up in that circumstance. That I think is a fair return as well, right? Sorry. I'm just trying to see if there's anything else that I've missed over here. But yeah, I just don't think that it's an overpay at all. Yeah, Ernie makes significantly less money than Jimenez does, though, so it's easier to trade him. Robbie Ray to the Padres? I haven't seen that one yet either. Let's see. Let's look that up. Mr. Robbie Ray, come on down. I wonder what the Padres would give up for Robbie Ray. Let's take a look at the Padres system. Let's take a look. It's not going to be one of their higher end guys, although I don't love their system in general. For San Francisco, they're going to want guys with feel and high floors. I don't think they're going to. That's usually the approach that they go with. Like, I wouldn't doubt if a guy like to be fair, like this is a good one, but like if you were to get like Tucker Musgrove for Robbie Ray, and you could get another like lower end prospect to go along with it, I think that would be a great haul. I think that his stuff is so elite. So if they were to grab a guy like Tucker Musgrove, I could see them being really into that. Jagger Haynes kind of fits what they like in general, right? He can already pitch, he can already get to the level if you need him to. The results are kind of middling. But he does kind of fit their profile that they like. But if I'm them with that deal, I'm shooting for Tucker Musgrove for sure. Liam Hicks to the Rays. Okay, starting to get some more stuff rolling in and rolling in. Here we go. Lots of business happening. Control. We already talked about the Mako deal. Yeah, we talked about it at length. Probably useless prospects in 350. The Rays never trade anything of value. That's not always true. That's not always true. Like, they are not infallible either. Would I move Kirk? I would move Kirk if somebody's willing to overpay for Kirk, but I wouldn't be moving Kirk for like fair market value. You know what I mean? This is a Gold Glove catcher, who's controlled. Like, you have control over, and he's still young. Like, why? Like, it would take a lot for me to move him. You think the Jays make more moves? Yeah, I do. I think there's a couple more to come. What's the hate on Kirky about? Because Jays fans need to hate somebody. It's their whole personality. It's their whole personality. Like, it's crazy, Yeah. So what could the Mets get from the Cubs for Clay Holmes? I don't think that much, to be fair. Like, the Cubs system is kind of meh anyways, but for Clay Holmes, like, I don't know, maybe this is they wouldn't. I don't think they'd give up Wiggins for him. Maybe they would, because it's just like it's an upside swing on stuff with like no real long-term plan to be able to do much. Like, Brandon Birdsell seems like the kind of guy that you'd get for him. So if they got, like, if he went to the Cubs and they got Birdsell, and who else is somebody that they could find intrigue in? Grant Kipp would be kind of one of their guys as well. Like, I think they'd want somebody that's like ready to go now. So like Birdsell and Kipp as a return for Grant Holmes would be kind of interesting. If they wanted, somebody else, like a guy that's dealt with, some issues and some underperformances, like a guy like Cade Snell. But yeah, like, I think they'd be shooting on arms personally. Could be wrong on that though. Mariners wanting Mason Miller, and Padres are asking for Cade Anderson. I would not trade Cade Anderson for Mason Miller. I wouldn't do that straight up. I wouldn't do that if San Diego put value add in it. Top 5 farms in the league right now, like the Dodgers, the Brewers, the Rays would be right in that conversation. There's a lot of good systems out there, man. I think the Red Sox system is really underrated at this point. Let's see here. Where else would I have guys? Yeah, like, I guess some people would say the A's because they have like some high-end talent. I'm not as big on their overall system though. Seattle would be in that conversation for sure. I'm thinking like maybe no, it's just like maybe Pittsburgh, because they've got 2 like absolute studs there as well. But there's a lot of teams that could be considered in that 5 spot. But yeah, those 4, I'd say I'm pretty steadfast that those 4 are pretty damn good though. You like the Mako return? Yeah, Mako's just a guy, right? Josh Smith is just a guy too, but at least Josh Smith, like I said, he had a 3-win season 2 years ago. Like, he's controllable. He plays multiple positions, and he's an everyday guy rather than a relief pitcher. So I'm always going to value the guy that can take everyday at bats versus the guy who can pitch in middle relief, right? And there's, like I said, Javen Coleman can come replace Adam Mako today, right? He's just a middle reliever at the end of the day. I wonder what the Rays gave up for Liam Hicks, because like Liam Hicks is like an interesting possibility. Because like, obviously he's a guy who's, having a good year, but not in like your traditional way. So it's been very aided by like other stuff, you know what I mean? Like barrel rates, exact same as where it was last year. He's hitting, what is he hitting, like 282? Expected batting average is 249, expected slugging is 347. He's slugging is 432, expected on base is 349, that 363. So he's having like an exceptionally lucky year, and he's like a mediocre defender. Like, I don't think he's like a real defender, but he makes good swing decisions and stuff. It's interesting to see what they're going to give up for him, because like, I just like, it's such a very clearly luck aided scenario for where his success is coming from, where I'm a bit confused. If they give up real value for him, that would be wild to me. That would be wild to me. I'm very intrigued to see what the Robbie Ray return is going to be. And it hasn't been shown yet. So let's see if there's news on what the Liam Hicks return is going to be. Liam Hicks. No return listed yet. So we're going to wait on the details before I absolutely before I jump into if I like it or not. Yeah, I'm not the biggest Namala guy, right? So I think it's a great trade by the Jays. I think it's a good trade by the Angels too. I think the Angels did good. I thought they got a good return. I don't think they're the natural environment to develop a guy like Namalo with what some of the holes are in his game. Like, I think it would have been nice if he would have ended up in a different organization. But like, he's very good. Yeah, I don't. Hicks is fine. Hicks is fine. That's what I would say about Liam Hicks. He is having a very clearly luck-aided season, like very significantly luck-aided. On top of that, so it's a little confusing. Like, it's a little bit confusing, but it's not overly bad by any means. Opinion of JoJo as prospect. I have JoJo ranked as, I think he's like my number 21 prospect in baseball right now, and he's climbing every time I watch him. I think that he's got just massive power. I think he plays a premium position, even if he doesn't necessarily stay on that position. I think the swing decisions are elite. When he swings, which isn't very often, he crushes baseballs. It's very rare to see a 19-year-old have average exit velocity where he does, maxing out near 115 miles an hour at 19 years old is absurd. His talent is off the damn charts. So I think by this time next year, you're going to see JoJo Parker as a top 5, top 6 prospect in all of baseball. That's where I think he is. So I'm big on the fella. Yeah, no player is untouchable for the most part, right? There are certain players that, so what's funny, JoJo Parker reminds me a lot, and people that aren't old won't understand how good of a thing this is. But as an offensive player, he reminds me so much of prospect Jock Peterson. Like, his swing and Jock Peterson's swing are so similar. Like, as an offensive player, he reminds me so much of Jock Peterson as a prospect. And that is a huge compliment. Even approach wise, physical build wise, there's a lot of Jock Peterson there, obviously, but this is Jock Peterson that plays competent defensively at a premium position. So like, that's how highly I think of him. If anybody remembers how highly people thought of Jock Peterson as a prospect, you'll understand why that's such a compliment. But the swings are almost identical, right? The swings between Peterson and Parker, like everything, the setup, the approach, it's all very big. Let's see. We're hearing rumors that there is a published return for Liam Hicks. Let's see if we can get some of that. Where are you guys seeing the names? Because I don't see any names right now. Let's see. Yeah, where are you guys seeing names? I'm online. I don't see any names right now. I'm checking with all the big boys. Yeah. Let's see. Phillies calling on Varsho. Yeah, well, you kind of expected that. They need relief and they need an outfielder, right? Salmon and Taylor, where are you seeing that? I don't wanna start reporting names unless there's some truth behind it. Not to doubt you. Um, but but I definitely if that's the return, I'm actually a bit surprised. I'm actually a bit surprised. It's a you don't often see um like Braden Taylor's pretty good is my point, right? Will Salmon said Braden Taylor. Is it just Taylor? I'm intrigued by that. Sorry, guys, we're trying to get our news together here before I say anything with absolutes. Let's see if there's anything else that I can find. But like I said, it's a good ad for them. I've got questions about how real Liam Hicks is. That being said, they have a tendency to get the best out of all these damn guys. Like I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is about Tampa Bay. They just continually kind of maximize everything that comes out of people in a really really frustrating way. As somebody who cheers for another AL East team, so that's always a point of frustration and annoyance that we have to constantly deal with is the Tampa Bay Rays just continually doing good work. I wish they wouldn't do good work with the level of frequency that they do, but unfortunately they do. Oh my God, is that Justin Greenwood? Oh my God, hello. Taylor Santana. Is that what we're seeing right now? Shit. If that's if that's the return, like that's a pretty friggin' good return if that's what it is, man. Like they gave up a ton. Like Kisting is a really fun arm. Like it's a lot of spin, it's a lot of bend. It's not like big time fastball, overly sexy, blah blah. But he's like big physical guy that spins the shit out of the ball and has had a ton of success this year, like a ton of success. Obviously, high A, he's a little bit older. And then if it's Adrian Santana, like that's another guy who's having like a really, really, really fantastic year. In a lot of ways, Santana profiles very similarly to like Brett Bateman, right? Like he's younger than Bateman. He's a switch hitter, but it's like hit tool is fine, power is not really there, speed, defense, arm, all awesome. So if the return is in fact Santana, Kisting, and Braden Taylor, who's having like a monster year this year. Like I believe in the hit tool with Braden Taylor more than a lot of people do. But like he's got 17 bombs. Like he still Ks a little bit too much, but it's not brutal. It's just like there is swing and miss there. But if that's the return for Liam Hicks, that's like a really, really good Liam Hicks return. You know, sweet ass me. But yeah, that's a Phillies dangling Gagewood and Aiden Miller. I don't want to get my hopes up for that shit. At the end of the day, like if that's what they're willing to do that, then that's a whole different conversation, right? So I'm not as confident you're going to be able to pull Wood or Miller in my mind because I don't want to set my expectations too high. If the Toronto Blue Jays are trading Varsho and Hoffman to the Philadelphia Phillies, I'm setting up in my mind for like the idea that it's going to be like a Griffin Burkholder, right? Brad Pacheco is somebody that I like quite a bit, right? Chanmin Park is like a fun, super young lottery ticket grab. There was somebody else. Oh, Wen Hu Pan was the other one that I the stuff. I watched a bunch of his videos the other day because Phillies have always been talked about a lot. So I was trying to get a better feel for their system in general. Um, those are all guys that like I was kind of setting my mind on. Aiden Miller would fit perfectly. Gage Wood would fit absolutely perfectly as well. Like both these guys are fantastic. Like I think Gage Wood, like I said, you get him with a real big league defense at some point, and it's going to be a real problem. So if that's what it would be, that would be fantastic. Wait, what? I don't know if this guy's messing with me or not, because I haven't seen anything about that yet. Let's see. Yeah, I don't know. I think this guy's just trolling. Yeah, it's fake passing. There you go. It's the Dodgers are so smart, man. Like they're just so smart. Everybody wants to be mad because they spend so much money. I get it. It's annoying that they can spend so much money. All this trading for a guy like Chris Bubich is such a smart deal because they can do it because their minor league system is so spectacularly developed. But adding a player like this who's not going to pitch this year, just for future, it's just so smart. Like their organization is just smart. They do such a great job of just continually acquiring more and more pieces, rehabilitating them, and then using those pieces to get stars. I just their franchise is so frustrating because they do things just so damn well. It's very, very, very frustrating. What would you take to part with Jeff Hoffman? Like just Hoffman by himself to the Phillies? If it was Hoffman by himself to the Phillies, I would probably just by himself. If they were to offer Pan and Rincon, I would consider that. If they were to offer Pan and Pacheco, I would consider that. I'm trying to be realistic. Like I'm trying not to say like, oh, I want Aiden Miller. You know what I mean? Like that wouldn't be a reasonable thing. So if we're being reasonable, those are packages that I would accept. Who else would I accept? It's interesting, but like Mavis Graves is somebody who's always intrigued me because the strikeout numbers are so huge, but it just never quite gets to where you want it to get to. Is the kind of frustrating, unfortunate thing to it. There's also like bet on tool guys, like in terms of no, I wouldn't go that route. But yeah, those are a couple of the opportunities that I would go for. Like Cody Bowker is kind of fun as well because the K rates are high. Like I want, like I said, what am I looking for in any deal? I'm looking for the idea to acquire one elite tool. And if you can get one elite tool, I'm fine with the deal. Hoffman and Varsho combo, like we're talking minimum deal to the Phillies. Like at minimum, I'd like it's I don't want to overstate. Yeah, like I don't want to overstate value because I'm not sure where it is because right away. No, it's too much. I think it's too much. If you can get a top 10 prospect and a top 15 prospect or a top 20 prospect, I would do that for those two. And we'll leave it at that as a combo job. We'll leave it at that. Let's see here. Wait, all they gave up was Duran? Are you shitting me? That's so crazy. Like I know he's not playing this year, but like that's a wild one. No way. Like the stuff is fun. I thought they'd have to give up more than that though. Like I definitely thought they'd have to give up more than they've given up. K rates are awesome. Like he's got big stuff, big, huge arm. But yeah, just surprised that there's not more being required to go back. So great deal. You know, no, 15 prospect Devontae. Not in all of baseball. Like, no. No, that'd be a wild overpay. Deferred money has stopped. Lots of teams use deferred money. I think right now 11 teams have deferred money on their books. So we can get away from his toxic fan base. Yeah, honestly, man. Like, honestly, that's the only reason I'd want to see him gone as well. And like, don't get me wrong. Like, Duran has a fun arm. Like, if you told me in a couple of years that he turns into, like, who would be a good comp, what the hell is wrong with my brain right now? You can tell I've been talking on the internet for a while. Baltimore's closer before he busts up his arm. Somebody help me out here since my brain's not working. Big, huge guy, like big monster of a human being. You can tell Felix Bautista. Thank you. If you told me that Duran turned into Felix Bautista in a couple of years, I would 100% be like, yeah, no, I could see that. Like it's big, huge stuff, big, huge frame. Like I completely would get that. I still thought it'd be a little bit more, but they're betting on upside of like, a physical profile that they really like very clearly. So like, I do understand the trade from both sides. I just assumed that they would have gotten a little bit more for that player, which is a bit surprising. A little bit surprising. Yeah. Thanks for the help, chat. Yeah. Everybody got on that one. How upset would I be if they didn't make any more moves? I wouldn't be upset. Like, I don't really get like upset about this stuff because like there's just like a process to it all, right? So I would be like confused by it. I would definitely have like questions about what their thought process was about if they're looking to keep these players or whatever. But like I don't usually get overly emotional about what teams are doing with their players and their assets and everything else. Is that honestly what they're getting? They're getting 2 top 10 prospects. Now, bear in mind, 2 top 10 prospects in a pretty dog shit org, right? Like the Padres don't have a ton to offer. That being said, Mendez is not like, I know I mentioned him a couple minutes ago, but like I didn't actually think they would get Mendez and Hernandez back. If that's what they got, like that's a pretty good grab. Now, I don't think like in that San Francisco system, which is again not like a great system either. So like it's going to help them in a good system. Like they're not top 10 prospects, right? Like you put those guys into a lot of systems, they're not top 10 guys. But like it's still a good grab for what it is. It's still a good grab for what it is. The Mako trade, like I said, if you can get a guy who has experience in the big leagues, who can play multiple positions, has had a 3-win season for a guy who's a middle reliever, like you do that trade all the time. So like Mako is just a guy, right? So, but yeah, that's where that makes sense. Like Josh Smith has been reasonably good for 2 years. This year it's been bad, right? But like again, he was double-digit home runs, double-digit steals each of the last 2 seasons. He had 2.9 WAR 2 years ago. I think last year was like 1.9 or something. He's been pretty good. He's got positional versatility. In a depth situation, you can play him every day, and he can keep his head above water. Adam Mako's a left-handed middle reliever, right? So, middle relief arms don't carry a ton of value, right? Javen Coleman can come up and do Adam Mako's job today. So, not to diminish him, but yeah. No, it's not a bag of Doritos. So like people want to do this all the time, and this is cheap owners colluding safe for a salary cap. That's not what they're doing. This stuff doesn't affect it at all, right? Like they're not gonna quote this. If they want a salary cap and they want to fight for it, they don't need to justify it by any means. They can just point to the Dodgers salary cap and go, "That's why." They can point to the Toronto Blue Jays as well. This isn't collusion. This is a team who, like Duran in most organizations, would be like a very high level prospect, like a mid tier prospect, right? In that organization, like I don't think people understand what makes the Dodgers great. It's not just the spending, right? It's the organizational development. They are the best organization at developing prospects in anywhere, right? It's them or the Rays, right? They're the two gold standards of this every damn year. Um, so, like I said, people will be mad because they spend money. They spend money and other teams should. It's not their fault that they're the ones that are willing to bid on this shit. The Pittsburgh Pirates can go out and bid on this, but they choose to pocket more of their cash. That's a problem at the bottom. This league I don't even care about the salary cap. I care about salary floor, right? Make the salary floor $135 million. Make sure all these teams fucking pay. That's where my thought process is on this. Luxury tax exists. If teams want to spend all their money on luxury tax, let them. It helps feed the bottom, and then the bottom should have to spend that money. So I don't think unless you fall below a true floor, you should get any money from luxury tax. So I don't think you should get any real redistribution finances at all. That's what I think. I think the problem with Major League Baseball is that there's cheap owners at the bottom who refuse to actually invest in their franchises because it's a lot easier for them to take luxury tax money and redistribution payments and TV contracts and pocket a large portion of it. So yeah, that's what I think the problem with Major League Baseball is. Yeah, I think there's still 3.5 hours till the deadline. You know what I mean? There's still 3.5 hours. Now, I will say this. I do need to get off here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take like probably an hour break because I need to rest this voice. I already sound like a guy who's been teaching gym classes for 20 years. I don't need to make it worse. So I'm going to go and have a coffee. I'm going to maybe have a meal, recoup a little bit. And then at like 3:30, I'm going to come back on and I'll do a live until the end of the deadline. So usually trades trickle in till about half hour past the deadline. So I'll do one from like 3:30 till 6:30 or whatever. We'll break everything down. We'll see what the Jays do. We'll talk about where teams are, where their depth charts are. We'll look at a little bit of everything. And then we'll go from there. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to take a little quick reprieve, give me an hour break so I can, rebuild myself vocally. And then we'll go from there. But I appreciate everybody coming on. And like I said, for the people that are on TikTok and Instagram, if you don't follow me on YouTube, please, this is a great opportunity. Jump over to YouTube really quick. Go up to my link tree in my profile. Jump over to YouTube. Give me a subscription on YouTube. It's the big deal. I'm trying to build that up as much as possible. And, honestly, my live streams over there are better anyways because you can see more visuals. So you get all the visuals off of YouTube that you don't get on TikTok. So when I share my screen and we look at player numbers like we've done a few times today, you'll actually get to see what the hell I'm talking about, which helps. But yeah, so support that stuff. Like I said, on Instagram, if you follow me, you're going to see a lot of updates about the podcast that's going to be coming out and everything else. That's a basketball specific podcast. And then just like, comment, share, give positive feedback on the videos, ask questions on there, interact with it. It all helps a ton. So I hope everybody has a great day. Support it. Like I said, super chats are always welcome. Memberships are out there and available, everything else. So thank you so much. I'll be back in about an hour and then we'll see where this shit really takes off to. But I appreciate you guys coming out and thank you so much. And I'll talk to you again soon. Bye-bye.